Hello everyone, it's Michelle Gilmartin here today doing a little dealer demo on the new Kimberbell Hello Winter Bench Pillow, Bench Buddy. Such a cute design. It included an SVG file, so that's what our demo's on today, is how to use an SVG file. So I'm just going to set my mat aside for a moment and talk about my heat transfer vinyl that comes with that kit. All heat transfer vinyl has a carrier sheet. It's that little plastic that they usually have you pull off before you place your vinyl. In today's demo, I'm going to have you leave it on and show you how you can use that heat transfer vinyl to be able to help you do your placement, and also how you can use it to press with. The heat transfer vinyl carrier sheet is able to accept heat. So with your little iron where you go to press it down, you won't have to put a press cloth on it. You'll be able to just place your snowflake and press right over it using the carrier sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and start by placing my heat transfer vinyl with the pretty side down, because I want to do what we call a half cut or a kiss cut. That means I'm going to tell the ScanNCut that I don't want it to cut all the way through my heat transfer vinyl to the mat. I want it to leave that carrier sheet intact. And because I'm putting white heat transfer vinyl on a white mat, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of washi tape over here on the edges, just so that when I scan it for placement, I'll actually be able to see where I need to place it at. Otherwise, white on white sometimes is a little bit hard to detect. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just load my mat to begin with. I am cutting. You can cut with your black cartridge, which is your auto blade cartridge. Today, I'm actually going to cut with the vinyl auto blade. It's a little bit sharper, different type of knife to use on vinyls, clear, heat transfer vinyls, things like that, because it doesn't quite cut so deep. Most heat transfer vinyls can be all kinds of different weights. You can have the glitter, you can have, the holographic, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and use the vinyl one today. To load the mat, I'm simply going to place the ScanNCut mat in between the two plastic areas here that fit exactly the size of the mat, and just barely put the edge of the mat underneath my wheels. And then I'm just going to push the load button to load my mat. All right, and now I'm going to go and get that SVG file. So it came with the SVG. If you do not need canvas per se, you do not need to use ScanNCut canvas per se to get this SVG file to your ScanNCut. Any ScanNCut model 200 series, 300 series will actually read a SVG directly off of a USB, or you can send it from Canvas if you're wireless. I'm just going to do retrieve data, and I have it on a USB. I'm just going to go down to where I have that SVG, and it tells me what it is here. It says hello, and I'm just going to bring that SVG up. So that is the SVG for the Hello Winter Bench Buddy. I'm going to select OK. Now, I'm going to do just a couple of things. First of all, I turned the heat transfer vinyl down to save my carrier sheet, which means I need to mirror image my design, because it actually fits in a corner. So I'm going to just mirror image it. I'm done. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and scan my mat, so I know exactly where my my vinyl is. And that's where those little pieces of washi tape will come in handy. Because on my screen, once I've scanned, I'll be able to see that washi tape, and it'll let me know how to place my design. And you'll see on the screen here, it's a little bit hard to see the white vinyl, but I know I can place it based on the washi tape that I can see. So I'm going to go ahead and object edit, and I'm going to go ahead and move it over a little bit and move it down a little bit. Now, the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure that today my ScanNCut is set up for a kiss cut or a half cut. So when I select cut, I'll have a series of things I can change here. So I can say that my half cut is on, but let me show you how I did that. So here's my cut speed. I'm going to go ahead and take that back to auto, which anything in the black box is auto. And then I'm going to go down one and I can see half cut, and it was off before I turned it on. So now I have a half cut. Now, since every single kind of vinyl can be different in weight, I am going to run a test cut. So I'm going to take that test cut and I'm going to move it over here into this upper corner around the snowflake, just to make sure that it doesn't cut through my my carrier sheet. I don't have a lot of extra vinyl here, but I have enough for a test cut. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab that magnifying glass and make sure that it's not touching anything. It is not. So I'm going to go ahead and run that test cut. And I only really do it for heat transfer vinyl because all of it can be such a different size. And you'll see that if you can manage to leave your carrier sheet behind intact, that it's going to make it very, very easy for you to make that transfer when you're done. All right, so I've got my cut there. So I'm just going to grab the edges of that heat transfer vinyl, and I can see that I got a really perfect cut, and that, let's see, my transfer sheet is still intact. Yes, my transfer sheet is still intact. So I'm like ready to go. I just want to leave that behind because it's going to make it so much easier for me. You'll see. So now that I've done my test cut, I can just select start and it will cut for me. So for vinyl, heat transfer vinyl like this, I always do a test cut. But you know something? On the Kimberbell heat transfer vinyls, they're very consistent in their thickness. So whatever you have to do for one, you would have to do for the other. And so if you're going to cut with the black blade instead, because you don't have this one, then do a test cut. You might have to back off on the pressure a little bit and just write that number down, because you'll have to use the same sequence anytime you cut the Kimberbell glitter vinyls. It's nice. You only have to really test cut once. Once you've got the formula, it's good to go. It's like having that recipe for those peanut butter cookies, right? All right. So now that this is done, I'm going to go ahead and unload my mat. And I'm going to start what we call the weeding process, which means that I'm going to pull away all of the vinyl that was cut that's not the snowflake, leaving behind my transfer sheet and my little snowflake. And I think I can get in there. Just a beautiful cut there. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. All right, so now I got to get my transfer sheet off, and I'm going to do that with my spatula. All right, so there's my snowflake. Now, here's the glue side of my snowflake and my transfer sheet. When it comes time to place my snowflake, I'm going to place it with the transfer sheet intact within the placement line. So just pretend that your placement line has stitched. You're going to place your snowflake right within those lines, and you can press right on top of this transfer sheet. So if you want to go in there and press on this and tack it down, you know, with the heat transfer stuff before you even stitch, that's what that transfer sheet's for. So the only thing I did different than you would have done cutting it by hand. Would have been A, I saved a lot of time, B, I have a really precise cut, and C, I have a transfer sheet to help me actually place my my snowflake. And what a pretty snowflake it is, right? So hopefully you found this interesting and beneficial, and hopefully you'll have fun cutting your SVG files.